Hi folks, Champions Cup round number 3. 6 games on this Saturday. I've just spent my Sunday here in NZ catching up on some of the games. I managed to watch 3 of them, and I've gone through the highlights of the other 3. Looked up some stats, some key events and whatnot, and we'll go through the games and you guys can let me know your thoughts on the games. We'll just go from there. We'll start with the first one, which may be a bit of an upset. Toulouse came to town to play Wasps, who played more than half the game with a red card, and Wasps somehow managed to win that one, and they did it pretty well. I'm pretty chuffed I watched this one. I don't think my local broadcaster showed all 6 games. Unhelpfully, in the titles, they just called all of them Champions Cup, so I just kind of picked this one to watch, and 2 others. So I'm pretty glad I watched it, because that was quite the performance from Wasps, wasn't it? I mean, Toulouse start getting a try pretty much in the first minute from a maul. It's ominous stuff. It's 7 points to 0. They almost got a second one on the left wing. It was just really ominous. LaBelle, if he'd found support, could have got a third one. Toulouse were really running riot early, but from about 10 to 15 minutes, Wasps properly came back into the game and kind of showed us what they were about. Interestingly, they opt for touch, not a try. I've forgotten to write down the minute of Alo's first try, but it was before the 20-minute mark anyway. And they had to TMO that one, but Wasps, maybe about 17 or 18 minutes, they get on the board. They kind of showed us that they're not here just to roll over. Remember, they beat Leicester, who were at this point unbeaten last week in the Premiership, so they're not afraid of knocking off some of the big boys when they're playing at home. They did look to keep the momentum going. They had a penalty in front, and they decided to tap it and go. They ended up with a 5-metre scrum, eventually a maul, and they ended up getting a try through Brad Shields on 22 minutes. So it was proper good stuff. They got a 14-7 lead, but it kind of goes to custard a bit when Jacob Umaga gets red carded for a 33rd minute high tackle. And it's one of those ones that's a bit hard. I mean, I know I was kind of expecting red when I saw what it was, because there wasn't a significant drop. Brad Shields would argue otherwise, but there wasn't a significant drop. It's head-on-head contact. That stuff just tends to get red carded these days. It's just the way the game's being refereed more than anything else. It still looks like a harsh one. More awkward tackle technique than anything, but I guess that's also what they're trying to stamp out of the game. So, Toulouse opt for 3 points. They got a man up. Surely they're going to run away with this one. It's 14-10. There's some handbags. Wasps' defence holds before halftime under a bit of pressure. So they go in. 4-point lead at halftime. Probably not going to be enough in the second half, right? Toulouse, reigning champions, bunch of French internationals, man up for the second half. Surely they're going to get it done. But, Wasps' scrum had kind of something to say about that. Their scrum was winning penalties, and a heap of them. The game got pretty helter-skelter. It was 17-10. At one point, Barbary was he gets man of the match. He was probably crucial, you'd say, in terms of Wasp getting a result. He cops a shoulder to the head from Geelong, and that one looks worse, I think, because just head-on-head, awkward, didn't look as bad as guy coming in from the side, shoulder to the head. But again, when I saw it, I thought, and I wrote it down before I saw the result, probably going to get yellow because Barbary was slipping down because he was being tackled by somebody else. So there's the reduction in height. So that's not me being particularly clever. That's just having watched a lot of rugby and see that's the way they tend to referee it these days. Gut feeling is it looks worse, but the way they referee it, it's going to be a yellow. So sure enough, it was a yellow. Brad Shields again wasn't happy, and he started having a kind of second whinge at the ref, and I was like, come on man, you need to work on your referee management skills, because he was very kind of confrontational with the ref. But then he must have realized it himself, because as I was writing that down, he's kind of going about this referee management thing the wrong way. He switched tack and then just showed what he thought would be a significant drop from the previous red card by dropping his knees and said, you guys have got a hard job and blah, blah, blah. So he clicked, because I feel like he was at risk of getting the referee offside for the rest of the game. And there was still quite a bit of the game to go. So yeah, 14-14, and yet Toulouse get the next try through Malvaka from a maul, so it's properly game on. But then, man, Barbary gets one on 67 minutes, and that's when I'm thinking, man, Wasps might actually do this, eh? Yeah, he had an intercept later and just hacked it. Barbary, just too big. It went dead. Bassett was chasing it, but yeah, the guy was everywhere. Toulouse scrum in the last few minutes did finally find that gear to get on top of the Wasps guys, but just when they needed to absolutely desperately score, Intermark's cross kick just wasn't quite sharp enough, and yeah, they weren't able to score a try. They ended up getting pinged for kind of crawling over the try line. You know, not one clean motion. It was a bit of a crawl. So Toulouse get denied a try. Gopeth kicks a long penalty shot to make it a 3-score game, but misses with 4 minutes to go. He gets one with 1 minute to go to make it 30 points to 15. Toulouse do, though, get a consolation try at 80 minutes to make it 30 points to 22. So Wasps don't get the bonus point, which they could have chased, but it doesn't matter because they got a win with a man down against Toulouse. Pretty bloody good shift from the Wasps guys, you'd have to say. Toulouse maybe not as clinical as we would have expected from those guys. Possession 47-53, territory 48-52, so Toulouse edges those ones. Run meters 479 to 251, but turnovers conceded. That was Toulouse having the much bigger number. Turnovers conceded 22-12, so Toulouse, like I mentioned, just not quite clinical. Mauls, you got to give credit to the way Wasps were able to shut down the Toulouse maul. Toulouse tried 12 times to win mauls, and only 8 of them they managed to get the ball back. So Wasps shut down 4 of them according to the stats, which is a pretty bloody good shift. You got Atkinson, Martinez, Barbary, Shields all had 10 tackles. So some proper shifts from these guys defensively. Peter Aki had 85 run meters. Placini had 15 from 16 tackles. So yeah, proper crazy game. Wasps like knocking off this Giants thing when they come to town. So absolutely congratulations to those guys. Pretty pleased I watched that one, to be fair. The second one, Ospreys and Racing, I watched this one as well. I was like, okay, this is probably going to be a hiding, but I'll watch it. I haven't seen Racing play for a while. They've got a pretty fun backline, so I will. I'll watch Racing tear Ospreys to pieces probably. But that being said, Ospreys' defense has been hot and cold for the last few weeks in the URC. They've either been really tight and able to keep games close enough that they can knock over threes and keep teams either in touch or behind them, or they've kind of let the floodgates open. But man, first half was so tight, wasn't it? It was. I mean, again, it was ominous early because Racing were just attacking. They couldn't score. Cuthbert got yellow carded for a high tackle. TMO initially wanted to say penalty kick, but the ref went to yellow card. Racing opted for 3 to make it 3-0. And I wrote on 13 minutes, there's an inevitable try coming for Racing because they are just hammering the Ospreys guys. But, man, credit to their defense. They won a breakdown turnover. Huge stuff. And then from 20 minutes, they actually get to go forward with the ball. And when they did so, they looked pretty bloody good. I thought very dangerous. 4 phases after a scrum. Webb picked a pretty bloody good option and sent Williams over for their try. So 7 points to 3. Good stuff. And the score stayed pretty low for much of the game. Luke Morgan, to be fair, had a big old line break. And he had Finn Russell to beat. He probably puts the hammer down and maybe gets to go in. I don't know. With the angle, it's kind of hard to say. But he tried to kick it through and nothing ended up coming of it. So it was a bit of a chance blown for the Ospreys. Prothero had a chance to intercept but couldn't handle it. I feel like if Ospreys gets either of those chances, it's maybe plays out differently, but you never know. Anscombe still slotted a 42-metre penalty to make it 10 points to 3. So that was a pretty solid lead. He's been kicking very well. But to be fair, Racing were making some errors and Ospreys' defence was making them make errors as well. Their defence was just like Herculean, like I said. The try that comes before half-time through Imhoff is like the stereotypical Racing try where it's Teddy Tomar out wide, kicks through. He's the first man to get to it, but doesn't pick it up. He kicks it again, and then Imhoff is the guy who ends up going over for it. So, yeah, proper just heads-up play, silky skills. Not one that you can really plan to defend too too well kind of stuff. So, yeah, it's 10 points to 8 at halftime. Ospreys did get turned over on attack right before halftime, so yeah, they also missed some chances. They'll be a little bit disappointed they only had 10 points on the board. I wrote another note that Ospreys line-out was driving me up the wall. The stats are clearly wrong because they said Ospreys line-out was at 100%. It was far from 100%. They missed many, many line-outs. And like I said, you've got to give credit to Ospreys for making Racing make errors. You need to give credit to Racing for disrupting the Ospreys line-out. I think they had a new hooker starting for the Ospreys from what they said. Was it his first start? So maybe a bit of pressure, but yeah, man. So many of those lineouts just went awry. Yeah, Luke Jones ended up. This is the Racing lock. Ended up pushing one of the Ospreys guys on the ground when Racing had them kind of under all kinds of pressure. So it was a bit of a let off. But I thought something bad is kind of coming here for the Ospreys, especially because Will Griffiths got a yellow card for a deliberate knock on. And that actually, the Luke Jones push was right when Ospreys had a yellow card. So, yeah, it was one where it felt like, again, the try that's coming is inevitable, but Ospreys were kind of just able to hold out. But when Anscombe pushes a long shot, well, he doesn't push it wide, he just kicks it short. It's another long shot at goal. During the yellow card, they kind of eat the clock. It's a shot for 3 points. They miss it. But first miss of the season. Pretty much from there, the Racing guys are able to punish them. Again, it's off for Ospreys' poor line out. I think it's Russell who gathers it, gets it to Fiku. Fiku gets a big old line break, and then he gets it to Vakatawa with a nice inside ball. It's a proper thing of beauty. It's out of nowhere. And suddenly Racing are back in front. Racing got held up on 61 minutes, so I wrote, from between hot and cold, Ospreys' defence today is pretty hot, but Racing got a penalty to make it an 8-point ball game, 18 points to 10, and I thought Ospreys are probably not coming back for 2 scores. I mean, Owen Watkin, to be fair, I put a note for him as well, because he was pretty immense, getting some turnovers and tackles, and I think he got a nice intercept at one point as well, but yeah, when Teddy Tomar gets that try on 71 minutes, the game is well and truly over. I mean, Gomez Sa, the prop, had a line break and a step in the build-up to that as well. So it was pretty crazy stuff. Racing were chasing the bonus point towards the end of the game, but yeah, no, it didn't come for them. So yeah, Ospreys. How do you feel about that performance? I mean, you don't get any points in the second half. It's probably a bit disappointing. They were under the pump. I think you've got to be kind of pleased with some of the standout guys in defence. But, yeah, if you get a couple of those chances in the first half, maybe. Racing will certainly be pleased with the second half because stuff just came right a little bit better, but I think they still would have liked to get that 4th try. I mean, stats, possession 66-34, territory 71-29. That's all Racing. So that scoreline, only 15 points, doesn't really reflect those numbers. Clean breaks 8-1, but turnovers 1 for Ospreys is pleasing 8-4. I mean, obviously they had less balls, so they had more chance to make turnovers, but I mean, Jack Morgan gets 3 of them. It was a proper machine today as well. 156 tackles to 69. So yeah, it's a defensive shift from the Ospreys. Sometimes you can, but often you can't play that way forever. Matt Prothero makes 63 run meters. Teddy Tomar makes 61. Gets a try assist and 2 clean breaks. Fiku 67 run meters, 2 try assists, 5 from 5 tackles. I think he gets man of the match. Yes. So Racing have qualified. They are going through to the next round. Yeah, I guess we will see how they go when they play Northampton at home next week. Ospreys are away to Sale. The next one, Connacht and Leicester. I may have missed it, but I didn't see it on my local broadcaster, so I've only caught up with the highlights. This one went right down to the wire. I believe Bundyaki had a bit of a go at the referee, which they didn't show in the highlights, so I've missed that, but he's apparently apologised since. He was obviously pretty frustrated. But yeah, Leicester are also qualified after this win at the death. It's another one at the death. I've been watching the Premiership all season, and they've pulled a couple of wins out the bag in the red, and then bonus points as well. They've had a knack for it this season, have Leicester Tigers. So for Connacht are certainly not the first. They're not the first side to suffer this kind of fate. They'll be frustrated as well because they had a big lead. Connacht were well in front, man. I mean, Hayes gets the first one and then Murivalu. So it's a decent lead for Leicester. But then O'Halloran gets one. Prendergast gets one. I mean, what is the lead at one point? It's like 28-10? 18-point lead. 18-point lead. But, yeah, they had a couple of yellow cards. There was Rafael got yellow carded for Leicester. I remember that much. And Connacht punished them pretty much straight away. That one was Marmion's try with a nice little snipe on 43. Yeah, they had the 28-10 lead on, like, what was it, 48 minutes when Halloran got his second? So that's a long time to go not scoring, I guess. 30-plus minutes. But yeah, Leicester with the tries at the death, 2 in the final 10. One through Clare and the last one through Salmaki. The TMO had to check the last one, but they didn't really show what the TMO was looking at. I'm guessing it was foot and touch. Maybe the pass to see if it was forward, but they only showed the fact that they looked at the TMO and then the TMO kind of went with the on-field decision, which was a try. So yeah, it's pretty brutal. I mean, that's a hell of a result in terms of if you were watching that game. That's a proper entertainment one that goes literally right down to the end of the game. But yeah, for Connacht, that's a pretty brutal result. But for Leicester, it's just more of what they've been doing this whole year. Possession and territories with Leicester, 54% to Connacht's 46%. Run meters, 365, also with Leicester at 242. But clean breaks is with Connacht, 4-3. Defenders beaten is 24-6 to Leicester. So, yeah, that's pretty crazy stuff. Murivalu obviously clocked up a fair few run meters out on that left wing. Marmion looked pretty dangerous. So, yeah, we'll have to see how Connacht go against Stade Francais next week. They are away from home, and Leicester, who have qualified against Bordeaux. We'll see what kind of team they pick. I should say credit to Freddie Burns for that crossfield kick from Murivalu's first one. It was pretty classy. Him and Marmion's tries were possibly my favourites, but I do like the fact that when Connacht get advantage, they do like spin it to the backs and yeah, showing us what they can do. The next one, La Rochelle and Bath. I also didn't watch this one. I figured it would be a hiding. And speaking of big leads, this lead was 39-0 for La Rochelle. Tries to Dante, 2 to Piquet, 1 to Lades, and 1 to Raymond Rule. I talked up Lades and Raymond Rule in the pre-match, so I'm pretty glad they both scored tries. But 39-0, and then Bath seemed to score some pretty tinny lucky, or just not lucky, but I mean, because you make your own luck, but like not necessarily planned tries, like turnover ball, which I mean is a thing. The All Blacks do that all the time, or charge downs and whatnot, so kind of random ones. Bath score 21 unanswered points, so 3 tries on the bounce. Yonker, Simpson and McConaughey within less than 10 minutes to put themselves kind of threatening to get back into the game, but they don't quite get it done. Despite the fact they have 2 yellow cards in this game, the highlights did not show what they were for. And it seemed to be pretty foggy. I probably should have led with that. Bloody hell. Exeter and Glasgow had a foggy one when they were up at the Scotsman. But yeah, this one was also rather foggy. On ground level, it seemed to be not too bad. But yeah, another one of those games kind of fully played in the fog. So yeah, I mean, La Rochelle, they have slightly less possession with 49%, but more territory, 61. Defenders beaten 17-10. Clean breaks is pretty close, 5-4. But yeah, there seem to be some pretty silky skills from the La Rochelle guys in a weak comeback from Bath to kind of save. I mean, Bath seem to play a pretty rejigged side anyway, so they're probably not too fussed about this one, to be fair. Their focus will be on the Premiership and ending the season, basically, because it's not been going that well. But certainly some good experience for the guys that played. Redpath was at 10. I think it's the first time I've seen that. So Aldreet, 70 run meters, 2 clean breaks, 8 from 8 tackles. McConaughey, 40 run meters. The number 8, Bayliss, it was a day for number 8. It seems 48 run meters. So yeah, in the fog, good win for the team at home. I don't think they qualified yet, though, but Leinster will be visiting Bath next week, and La Rochelle are away to Glasgow, so we'll see if there's any fog for that one, because now both teams have played in the fog. The next one, Exeter and Glasgow. I did watch this one. because I figured I better watch a game. I hadn't seen any of the results. I better watch a game that's going to be close because, yeah, I didn't want to watch too many hidings. But bloody hell, 52 points to 17. That's, yeah, that's pretty brutal. And it's a weird one because the first half was actually pretty close. The first half was close. I was pleased to see Glasgow kind of not opting for 3 early, although they did opt for 3 on their second chance. They had a 3-0 lead. And when Exeter also likewise went for the touch early on, Glasgow's maul defence held, which was pretty pleasing because if you're going to play Exeter, especially at Sandy Park, your maul needs to be in order. But sometimes we forget that about Exeter. The backs can score tries as well. O'Flaherty gets 3. And so many of these were just like training park set plays from scrum and line out. It was pretty brutal stuff. Yeah, and there was like some sneaky stuff, like Exeter at one point when they tapped it from a few meters out. I forget which try it was now. Like you thought they're just going to tap it and Cowan-Dickie's going to charge it up, but they changed the point of attack. So from the tap, they pass it straight away. So where Glasgow is kind of set to defend, they don't have things kind of ready to be, to hold. So, I mean, halftime is what? 14-10? Halftime's pretty close. They get one try to McDonald to Glasgow in the first half, and then the second half they get one through Fagerson. That one, Fagerson does really well to get over the advantage line. Like the Glasgow guys just generally were doing well to get over the advantage line, and then Price picked kind of charging Fagerson to go over the line. They only scored 2 tries, so I can kind of remember them a bit clearer, but the Exeter guys towards the end of the game were just running right. I mean, Sam Simmons gets 2 kind of close range efforts from him. Their scrum's getting momentum. I don't know what else to say, man. They were just making it look really easy. As I said, just so many kind of set piece moves. Like one of them was just 2 passes from the scrum. It makes it look easy. But Slade, to be fair, is pretty good at drawing and then passing right as he's about to take the contact or just after, and he gets a pretty nice pass away. So, man, 52 points to 17. I did not see that result coming. I thought it would be a bit closer than that. But the first half was legit close. It was genuinely very close. But then second half, Glasgow just didn't have any answers for it. So, yeah, it's a rout. It's a bit of a rout. It's an absolute rout. So, yeah, Exeter, they had 53% possession, 53% territory, 343 run meters, not that many, 313 for Glasgow, 4 clean breaks to 2 to Exeter. To Exeter. Glasgow actually end up with more defenders beaten, 15 to 10. Dempsey makes 11 from 11 tackles, but O'Flaherty, 3 tries, 2 clean breaks. He's got 66 run meters. Hogg was dangerous. Slade, like I said, was really dangerous. Sam Simmons gets tries. Exeter scrums had a few issues in recent times in the Premiership, but they seem to be pretty comfortable today. So, yeah, that makes up for the match they lost in the fog. So, yeah, well done. They are away. I've written to Montpellier, is that right? And then Glasgow are home to La Rochelle. Really? Exeter play Montpellier? Okay. Maybe my notes are wrong. But, yeah, big win. Big win. I was almost kind of checking out of that because it was just so painful at the end for the Glasgow guys. I mean, really pleasing to see for Exeter, but yeah, when the 40 points were up, I was like, right, this game is done, and my kids were kind of running around and asking me to look at their drawings, so there you go. The last one, Bristol and Stade Francais. I've only seen the highlights for this one. Good win for Bristol. They're qualified. Having only played 1 game, they are qualified for the next round. It seemed like kind of offloads galore to start this one, which is maybe what you expect when these two sides play. Purdy got 1, O'Connor gets 2, and Randall gets 1. Randall seemed to be doing this kind of Harry Randall thing where he just taps and snipes and sets up tries or scores them for himself. You can't switch off even for half a second. Even if you're fully aware of what that guy's going to do, sometimes it's just really hard to stop him because he's just so quick. As soon as there's a penalty given, he just taps it and goes. And, if your props are still getting up off the ground, there's nothing much they can do. If you guys are standing too close to him as he takes you knock back 10, what are you supposed to do? He's just such a handful. Stade did get that one before half-time through Barre. seemingly out of nowhere, just a little dink over the top from Nico Sanchez, and then they were over, so that kind of made it game on, 14-7 half-time. The Stade Francais did get the last one on 65. That was kind of just a pick and go to maybe seem like it was going to have a bit of tension at the end, but seems Bristol held on pretty comfortably. So, yeah, pretty good win for Bristol. One game in, and you qualify for the next round. Happy days. Possession 52-48 in favour of Stade, but territory 55-45 in favour of Bristol. Run meters 624-401, so seems like it was, compared to some of the games, a wee bit more running rugby. Carries, though, 105 each. So from 105 carries, Bristol get 624 metres. From 105 carries, Stade get 401. So I guess that's one of the differences. Although I've noticed a few funny little quirks with the stats on the old Champions Cup website, so I sometimes question. Clean breaks 10-3. Randall 62 run meters. The flanker Daniel Thomas makes 21 out of 23 tackles. It's a pretty bloody good shift. Piers O'Connor 117 run meters, 3 clean breaks. Big shift. The fullback, what's his name? Hamdawi for Stade, 113 run meters. Vaianu, the winger, 89 run meters. So it seems like it was a pretty fun game to watch, although Bristol seemingly pretty comfortable. So yeah, there you go. You guys let me know what you reckon. What did you reckon about the Connacht and Leicester game especially? Because that one seemed to have a bit of controversy about it. In the end, pretty comfortable wins for Bristol, for Exeter, for La Rochelle. Racing did it easy enough in the end, but the first half was tough. You could say the same about the Exeter game, to be fair. And Wasps with a hell of a result to upset Toulouse. I know that was a home win, but Toulouse was supposed to win that one. Wasps just said no. So there you go. Fun games. You guys let me know your thoughts. Yeah, if you want to do me a favour, subscribe to the channel. Like the videos. Consider subscribing to Patreon down in the description. Buy me a coffee. If you need a VPN, there's a link to the VPN, ExpressVPN down in the description as well. There's all kinds of stuff in the description. Check it out. And yeah, cheers guys. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.